Let's go ahead and add a S7-1200 PLC to our system. So I'm going to click add new device. As you can see, there is a lot of options. We're going to go into controllers. Here is options to select different controllers. If we select basic controller, you can see 1200, advanced controller, we have 1500, 300, 400s. We have distributed controllers, which is ET200SP or ET200S, or even ET200 Pro, which has M12 connectors on there. There's a software controller, which is a runtime, and of course the small logo 8. So let's go ahead and click on basic controller. I'm going to double click on S7-1200. There is one other option here, standard and failsafe. So if I want a safety CPU, I select here standard and failsafe. For now, I'm going to select just standard. If we want the Cypress version, we can have CPUs rated up to 70 degrees C. So if I select 70 degrees, everything inside, when I click on configure, all this changes to Cypress versions. So if I go back and change it back to 45 standard, as you can see now I have options for standard CPUs. So let's go ahead and click on 1215 CPU. There's different options. Pretty much all four different CPUs have three different flavors, which is DC, 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 the DC relays, and then AC, DC relays. So as you can see, this is supplied by 24 volts. This is 230 power supply, and this is 24. And this is relay outputs, and all the inputs are 24. I'm going to select the basic DC, DC, DC CPU, and then add a memory card and keep the default 4 MB for the memory card. And now here is our CPU. So let's go ahead and look at different I/O options. So here is my digital modules, my digital input cards. I have option for 8 and 16 channels. I'm going to select the 16 channels. Same thing with digital output. I have relay cards, relay changeover, 16 relay, 8 regular, and 16 regular card. And as you can see, there is this information right next to each of them. Also, if I click here, it takes me to the tech support site for Siemens. So if I click there, it will take me to the specific information of that specific part. It will have more detailed description. So here's the part number, here is the output card, 16 channel transistor, half amp, and here is everything else that goes with that card. So let's go ahead and add a 16 channel, let's say a relay card. What's cool is we also have digital I/O, which is combination card, so we can have a 16 input and a 16 output card. As you can see here, this is also very handy. It shows us how much is my DIN rail. So the width of all my components so far is 290 mm. Let's look at analog cards. Same thing, analog input. We have options for resistor, which is RTD cards, and thermocouple cards. Let's add an 8-channel analog input card. Let's go ahead and add an 8-channel thermocouple card. Let's add a 4-channel analog output card. And let's go ahead and look at the input and output. So we have a 4-channel in and a 2-channel out. I'm going to add that. As you can notice, this shows number 9 here. So the PLC is 1 right there. So we can add up to 8 cards for I/O on here. So let's go ahead and let's say I want to add more I/O. I'm going to add digital, let's say 16 relay and 16 in and out. So what's pretty cool is it shows me all my slots here. So here's my slot 1 with my CPU, input, output, input and output card, analog input, whatever, so forth. If I click on limits, this is pretty cool. So what is the number of I/O? I used 8 I/Os, maximum is 8. The width of all the I/O is 410. Oh, sorry, that's the backplane. And then the dimension. So it's 100 by 830 by 540. The depth is 75. So this tells me what is the rail I'm getting and what is being used. Here's my input bytes, maximum output bytes, how much I'm using. And here is the I/O count. This is pretty cool. So I have 62 inputs, 58 outputs, 22 analog inputs, and 8 analog outputs. Same thing for the power. I need 44 watts of power loss. So here is the half amp, 1.5 amp, and the total is 38.5 amp for all the loads. So my 24 volt DC load for all the outputs. So I will need a 40 amp power supply for this system. So if I click on order list, here is all my cards and my PLC. It shows me all the quantities. If I want to change the quantities, I can simply add or reduce. and then click on export, create an Excel file, and then let's say it's called a 1200. So here is my Excel file. I'm gonna just make sure I can see everything out of it. So here is my complete parts list. You can simply email this to insightsales@eandm.com and get an official quote. Thank you.